What up? What up? What up? What up? How's it going, dudes? How's it going? How's it going? Had your page up idle on my monitor. Nice, dude. Pretty chill night, to be honest. What up, DeMarcus? What's up? What's up, Jose? What's up, Rissa? How we doing, chat? Guys, let's tap the screen. Let's get some people in here. We've got a few new things going on tonight. I'm going to try to... I should have done this before I got live, but I'm going to add a few things while we were hanging out. What's going on, y'alls? Having a bit of a crisis all of the news, but it's fine. It's fine, yeah. Johnny, what's up? I'm ready to become a Texan. Gonna have to teach you how to two-step, Johnny. I'm gonna have to teach myself first, too. Did I get my hotel and flights? Kind of, sort of. I do need help, guys. So I I am going to be joining the Unfuck America tour. And I am trying to raise donations to help with my flight, which was insane. My flight was $850. It was actually a little bit less than that, actually. But it was insane. But yeah, I'll be trying to raise donations between now and Sunday for that. Also, we're trying to raise donations at the same time for the Unfuck America tour, which I need to add to my profile. I'm going to be adding that real quick, guys, while we're waiting on debates. What did I miss in the news today besides judges finding Trump liable for criminal being in criminal contempt of court? Criminal contempt of court, chat. I'm donating to both tomorrow. Thank you so much, Rissa. What up, Chris? Through which airline? It's through American Airlines. It's through American Airlines, and we already bought it. He wasn't found in criminal contempt. I heard it was that he was threatened with that. Yeah, he might be liable for being in contempt of court, and he's got until like the 22nd or 23rd to either come up with his end of the court's demands or come up with some sort of whatever for the court. I have to get more familiar with that stuff. Come on now. Paste. There we go. Boop. Okay, we sent that. Give me that email. Give me that. All right, guys, it's official. It's live. My link tree is now it's now live. If you guys want to help the Unfuck America tour, we are going to be chasing down Charlie Kirk on his campaign of visiting colleges and propagandizing young Americans with lies and far right bullshit. We're going to be following Charlie Kirk around and debating him, coming to him and showing these kids that what he's saying is bullshit. That 95% of what he says is lies. So if you guys want to help us get that off the ground, the link is in the link tree. It's the very first link. You can donate. We also have a contest to see if we can outraise each other. Whoever raises the most gets a prize. If you guys want me to get that prize, fucking let's go, baby. So I believe it's on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. we're going to be on A&M's college campus. We're going to be in Charlie Kirk's face. We're going to be debating him. We will be streaming it, and hopefully when that's over, we'll be chasing him down to the next college campus. And I forget which one he's going to. I think it's like Wisconsin. How much money is Soros paying you? Not enough. Not enough. You better watch out. Trump will put you in prison for saying those anti-Semitic remarks. He's the only name MAGA knows. I know, right? He's the catch-all. He's the catch-all. When you don't have an answer, Soros is behind it. Oh, Soros. Where does the tour go? I believe a few days after A&M. Where is Charlie Kirk going? He's going to Wyoming. So he's going to be going to University of Wyoming 2 days after Texas A&M. If we raise enough money, we'll be following him. He's only got 2 dates set up right now. Actually, this will be his 4th trip, but he's spent tens of millions of dollars doing this. The fake being paid rhetoric is back. Love that, dude. Love that. It's Wyoming. It's Wyoming.
Yes, we're back.
What's up, bro?
Pickles, how we doing, my guy?
Doing good. How are you, bub?
Dude, I'm doing amazing. We haven't talked in like forever, man.
I know.
Dude, I've been so busy. I'm sorry, man.
Glad to hear it. You've been doing okay?
How's the stream? Nah, I've just been busy with I play volleyball. It's like chaotic.
Dang, that's
a lot of fucking long ass practices and shit.
wow. You you and Marty still not talking?
How did you hear about this? What the hell?
Yeah.
Did he explain the story?
A little bit. Yeah.
Dude, he got really mad at me, and then the next day I like started joking with him, and he was like, okay, fine, I'm not mad, and then we were boys again.
Okay.
He was being a little bitch. I won't even lie. Like, he was acting like a little girl.
I'm glad you guys are back together forever again.
I know, man. Like, actually, I was kind of pissed that he's actually been kind of fucking pissing me off recently. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, he thinks he's like a fucking comedian, and he's just not, man. Like, he thinks he's fucking hilarious.
All right, hey, I'm gonna take this debate. All right, you go and get.
All right, I'll catch you, Pickles.
All right. Yellow.
Good morning, sir. It is nice to meet you. But I want to tell you how your organization called this the Un-America thing is not good. I heard that the creators.
All right. All right. All right. Why do you hate America so much? You shut your mouth. Hello? What's up? Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah, I've been on your live one time before.
Okay.
Okay, so I just had a question for you regarding tariffs.
Yeah.
Do you think okay, so if we're talking about historical tariffs, it dates way back to the 1700s, but if we're just talking about recent tariffs, Trump was the first to impose tariffs on China. Do you think that this was justified? Specifically referring to the 2018 tariffs.
No, not really. No.
Okay, and why don't you think it was justified?
While we do need to start helping our industries here, it's not born like we don't see very many good results born out of protectionism. So
That's actually a common misconception regarding the 2018 tariffs. We tend to get the misconception that it was trying to install protectionism and bring product back to America. But do you know why these tariffs were installed?
why?
I'll pull up the reason right now. Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So there was theft of U.S. intellectual property found, and it was taken to the Supreme Court, and it was ruled that China was actually committing theft of U.S. intellectual property. So, as punishment for that crime, Donald Trump implemented tariffs in 2018, which marked the start to the tariff war. So it wasn't necessarily about protectionism; it was actually about punishing a country for illegal activity.
Okay. So they struck back and it really hurt. He started something. He started a trade war. And I believe there were like 3 rounds of us going back and forth. And a lot of
Yep.
people here hurt a lot, possibly more than what China is feeling.
Again, so to that, I would say that you have to look at import-export ratio. So Chinese exports are roughly 12% of US. So Chinese, like Chinese people are exporting, they roughly export 12% of their exports to the
Yeah,
US,
it's like
and US
13.
imports. Yeah, exactly. It's 12 to 13%. So if we're going to talk about both economies hurting, I wouldn't necessarily say there's a big imbalance between China and the US economy. I mean, I would say it's more so equal because if the US has 13% Chinese goods imported and China has 12% US goods imported, then I wouldn't really say the difference in economic impact is going to be too catastrophic. Do you see my reasoning behind that argument?
What you're saying is you're willing to pay insane consumer prices to punish China for stealing some intellectual property. You're willing to go to war for this with your wallet?
Well, not necessarily for stealing intellectual property. It also goes back to protectionism as well, because I think it's a big issue that we rely on another country for a lot of things that are crucial regarding the fact that we can get it from other countries. And although, yes, it will be more expensive, I think that if you're thinking about it in a long-term plan with the adversary and the competition that we're in with China, it's not good to be dependent on them for product that we can get from other countries.
Okay, so the thing is, we get a lot of positive diplomacy from keeping a trade relationship with China. And when they entered the World Trade Organization in 2001, we saw a huge uptick in the production the efficiency we were able to have in the United States markets. We were
Yeah.
able to do things and economically like accelerate a lot of our businesses. Like businesses,
Yeah. So
like I could open a t-shirt shop up tomorrow and sell t-shirts made in China and make a lot of money here, and
yeah.
I would
So
thrive.
that claim is completely logical. I mean, diplomacy is definitely going to be promoted through trade. But the reason that I say we're in competition with China is not necessarily because of bad diplomacy through bad trading relations. I'm saying it more so with the possibility of escalated military conflict. And the reason that I say that is because of the whole Taiwan situation. I mean, the Chinese president himself, Xi Jinping, has said that he has plans to invade Taiwan and rule Taiwan as a component of China under his one China
And
policy. And the
and
U.S. is
I promise you, when that comes to be, we can look at MAGA and we can say, hey, are we going to do this America First thing again? Are we going to do this America First thing
I
again?
mean,
Because that's what China thinks.
do you think that the U.S. should defend Taiwan?
Yes.
Great. So if China invades Taiwan and then the U.S. defends Taiwan, are we now indirectly at war with China?
Yes.
And do we rely on them for most of our imports?
Yeah, not most, but yeah, a lot.
So we
Yeah.
should be so you're telling me that we should be reliant on a country that we're going to be indirectly at war with.
So the thing is, we're more likely to go to war with them. They are more likely to jump ship and do something like push into Taiwan if we're in bad relations with them already. And they're even more likely to do this if we're not funding Ukraine from being invaded from their aggressive neighbors. So you guys are doing this. You guys are accelerating this.
I mean, to that I would disagree. I don't think China is more prone to invade Taiwan because of U.S. trading relationships. I don't really
Of
see the
course it
logical
is.
correlation to that
Yes,
claim.
here's
Can
the
you
logical
explain that?
correlation. Yes, when they have positive relations with us, when they have every reason to keep trading with us, instead of invading Taiwan and not having that trade and taking that economical hit, they would rather keep the peace. They would rather continue to trade with us. But now that
Okay,
they don't
but
have
this
that, now
is
that we don't have trade relations with them, they're just going to say, fuck it, let's do it.
But this is the thing, even with the trading relationships, you're saying that it's more likely, but even with the trading relationships that we had, even with the good diplomacy regarding the trading relationships, China made it clear that they wanted to invade Taiwan. I mean, China was doing military drills 100 miles off of the Taiwanese shore. They've made it clear, even when we have diplomatic relationships, they've made it clear, even when we trade with them, that they still are going to invade Taiwan. So if they've made it clear, regardless of the diplomacy that we implement, why is it that we should still be reliant on them for so many materials if they say it doesn't matter, we're
Here's the
still
thing.
going to invade Taiwan?
This move is not going to make us less reliant on China. We're still going to have to power through this without being ready. We did this the exact wrong way. What we could have done is we could have funded or given subsidies to markets that we rely on in China. We could subsidize those markets here, and then we can be like, okay, now that we have manufacturing of those things here, we can tariff those things in China. But we don't even have things ready to start building. We're going to fuck our economy over before being ready to manufacture and compete with China. Makes
agree
no
with you. I
sense.
agree with you. I agree with you on that component. We should have given our companies a grace period to start producing in America, but I would still say that the tariffs forced the U.S. to make a decision: either produce it domestically, and if it can't be produced domestically, get it somewhere else. And if you have
And
to get it somewhere else for a more
no,
expensive price,
nobody also this was not done by law. So this was done using a wartime law that Trump is invoking to being able to unilaterally play with the tariffs as president rather than passing them through Congress. He's using wartime law as if we're in war, which we're not. He's using that law to play around with tariffs and invoke tariffs. And I think that is completely tyrannical. I think it's bullshit. I think it's dumb. I think Trump has done things like this in the past that have got him himself in a lot of trouble. And here we are looking at a horrible economy and looking into a recession while possibly going to war with China, while also ditching all of our allies on the world stage. That's not
yeah.
cool.
So yeah, when we're discussing, I mean, the tariffs, I agree with you. I don't think that we should be tariffing our allies, but I think the essence of the tariff was not necessarily to punish our allies, but to try to bring them to the negotiation table. And I think what Trump did was he put all of the tariffs down on the other
We
countries.
could
He
have
realized.
negotiated them
Can you let me
instead of.
talk though?
Go ahead.
Sorry. So I think Trump, he put the tariffs on the other countries and he realized this is a really shit policy, right? I mean, he had economists criticizing him, even economists that were conservatives, right? And I do agree that is a shit policy. You shouldn't tariff like 150 countries. But Trump realized that and he said, hey, this is horrible. I'm going to reverse the tariffs on the countries that haven't retaliated, and I'm going to put a 90-day pause. What did we see? We saw the market go back
We
up.
still have
What did we see?
10% tariffs on all of them.
No, well, okay. Even if we do, he's still pausing the tariffs. Like that's the thing.
No, these are still insane tariffs. This is not the right way to do it. Of course, it was bad. Of course, he reversed it because we were about to implode our own economy. Japan and China own so many U.S. bonds that if they sold a certain amount, the dollar would implode. We would be completely worthless. We would be so fucked. Trump did not see past his nose when planning this. He didn't ask any economist besides fucking Peter Navarro, who is a weird French economist. Nobody agrees with this man. We are in such deep shit right now, and you can't possibly think that we have a leg up. We're staring down the barrel of a huge recession because Trump is an idiot, and he didn't think into the future.
Yeah. So so I agree with you. I think that this plan, even as somebody that is personally conservative myself, could have been executed in a more logical manner, but I still agree with the idea of the tariff. I think that he had the right intent for the country, but I think he had poor execution of the policy.
And also, I mean, everybody wants to make our country flourish. And yes, it's all about what policies you enact to do it. And we had another person who actually wrote down their ideas on a piece of fucking paper so that we could read them.
Who are you
That's
talking about, Joe? Are you talking about Joe Biden?
No, Kamala Harris. She actually ran and actually had an 82-page economic plan for us to look at and be like, okay, I either like that or I don't like that. Trump just had like 2 sentences written down on a piece of paper that were incoherent. One of those sentences where he was going to end inflation. Why would you end inflation?
Well, okay, so if we're talking about like constitutional threats, I would honestly say that Kamala Harris is also a great threat to our constitutional rights as well.
Like which ones?
And the reason because she's trying to change the intuitive mechanisms and the operations of certain government Okay, I'll give you an example, right? OSHA, right? Occupational Safety and Health Administration. The Occupational Safety Health Administration wasn't made to mandate vaccinations. It was just made to enforce regulated health enforcement theorems, like for example under COVID, like the 6-foot distancing in workplaces. And what the Biden Kamala Harris administration did unconstitutionally is they used essentially an organization and they used it for their own sort of operation, which was essentially different from the purpose of what it was created for. That's completely unconstitutional. You're not allowed to essentially change an organization's purpose so it fits your personal interest and then cram that on 80 million Americans.
Okay, but they also gave people the option to test for COVID.
That doesn't matter. They still made it.
It's
so
completely. It's complete. It protected people's and workers' health. If you want to be a super spreader, go hold a presidential campaign like Trump did.
Absolutely not. Hold on. Sure. I mean, you may say, okay, they gave them the option to test. It doesn't change the fact that they forced and crammed down 80 million vaccinations on people.
No.
You can be a Democrat, bro, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to admit that there are faults within both parties. And I think that's an honest fault.
Listen, how old are you?
18.
Okay. Did you go to public school?
Yeah.
Guess what? You were vaccinated because of the federal government. Congratulations.
Okay. But in a working place, right? Okay, but that is because there's systems under the federal government that say, okay, this person needs to be vaccinated for public safety concerns, right? There are systems whose operation is designated and dedicated towards ensuring these vaccinations. When you're talking about OSHA, you can't use a system like OSHA whose original purpose wasn't to cram down vaccines and then use it to cram down
Listen, OSHA did not require anybody to get a vaccine. It was get a vaccine or get a COVID test. Or get a COVID test.
They use OSHA as a way to support vaccination, and that's not what it
And
was created
and
for.
you,
That's why it's unconstitutional.
I know you guys feel nobody was forced. Did you know anybody that was held down and forced to get vaccinated besides someone in the
Not
military?
held down. I know people. Yeah, I know people that actually were susceptible to losing their jobs in public working places if they didn't get the COVID vaccine.
Okay, so if you work for the federal government, you have to abide by their rules. So that's
Sure, but
fine, but just like a private company, if you want to work, if you want to be anti-science, if you don't believe in science, maybe you're not fit for a good job.
okay, but this is the thing. I understand that federally the government has to be able to enforce these vaccinations, but when you're trying to enforce it through a system whose mechanism wasn't created to enforce the vaccinations, then it's unconstitutional. You have to abide by, you have to basically implement the purpose of a system for its creation. It's like changing the operation of something based off of how you personally perceive it or how you personally want it to be rather than what it was actually created for.
Listen, it was a novel virus, and the first time we encountered this thing in something over like a lifetime, like 100 years, right? We haven't seen anything like this. A public health pandemic. 1.2 million people died. So we had to make decisions
Agreed.
to make places safe to work at. People who were high risk or people who had they couldn't get a vaccine because they had some sort of autoimmune disorder.
But do you
These are all
understand?
things that we have to consider when talking about public health. And if you guys don't care to partake in like things and measures to keep the public healthy, then stay at home. Go find another job
Well,
that allows you to do your
it's
thing.
it's not about not caring, it's having logical skepticism. I mean, why do you think people were so scared? There's a difference between vaccinations that have already been in practice for decades, like the polio vaccination, measles, or the mumps, versus the COVID vaccination. Although the COVID vaccination, was necessary, it was rushed and it was also created using new technology. And when you have a vaccine, right, that's being crammed down on people and it's been used without necessarily elongated testing over a long period of time, so the side effects are unsure. And additionally, it's a new technology that's never been used in a conventional
All right,
vaccination.
I
It's obvious that you're going to have people that are skepticists, and then when you use, right, an organization that wasn't meant to cram down vaccines, and then you
am
use it to cram down vaccines on
MR,
people, it's going.
mRNA is not new. It's been around since the 80s. I know that you guys have been told by your politicians that it's crazy and scary and that you're going to get 5G or be magnetic. It's not true. We all came out the other side just fine. We all came out just fine. I don't want to talk about the vaccine anymore because I've been banned twice on YouTube for misinformation from people on your side. So let's talk about something else. Let's talk about Trump
Okay,
using Trump
can I
using
just
his arms
conclude?
of the government to impose his wills on certain agencies, such as like higher education. Trump is threatening to take away billions of dollars from colleges just because he wants to impose his ideas and his way of accepting college students or his way of teaching into colleges. Do you think that's something that we should do without like Congress? Have you even heard of something coming out of Harvard that was indoctrination or unfair practices towards or anti-Semitic?
Okay, so first, before we move subjects, can I just give a closing statement? So you're right. And,
Sure.
and this is going to be the last thing that we talk about regarding vaccines. So you're right. mRNA has been studied for decades, and I'm not condoning misinformation because I actually do research. So yes, you're right. mRNA has been researched, but it's never been used in practice. And what you have to understand is there's a difference between researching something and implementing in practice. That's the last thing I have to say about it. If you want to rebut, you can rebut, and then we'll move on.
Now let's move on. Let's
Okay,
let's talk
so
about Trump using the FCC to harass news stations he doesn't like. Let's talk about Trump using
well,
the
you first. Okay, can I
like
start on your first point? Because you mentioned educational systems.
yeah, Trump is pulling $2 billion from Harvard because
Yeah.
he wants
Okay.
them to do also he has a list of demands at Harvard he wants them to do. Do you
That's
think that's
not
okay?
necessarily that's not necessarily true. It's because he thinks that there are biasy concerns in the campus that are relating to things like anti-Semitism,
Yeah, he
diversity,
needs to prove
and
those in court.
unfair. Yeah, and I agree with you. If they haven't been proven in court, then funding shouldn't be taken away. So yeah, to that I agree with you. You shouldn't defund something if it hasn't been proven in court. Everybody deserves due process. So yeah, that's logical.
Yeah, I think what he's doing is he's trying to get them to fold to his will, because obviously other schools, they're not able to fight these things in court. He knows what he's doing. This is in Project 2025, the same Project 2025 that he promised. He had no idea what it was, that he's never read. The thing that he's doing with these colleges was in Project 2025.
Well, again, I didn't really look into Project 2025. I don't necessarily know about that, but the reason that Trump is basically trying to defund these colleges is because there's been a lot of slogans that promote anti-Semitism. I mean, we saw it mainly after the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and as we know, if obviously everybody has a right to the freedom of speech, but hate speech isn't protected constitutionally, and if you are going to express anti-Semitic views on a campus, and it's going to be tolerated by
I
the
don't see
administrators of
any
that campus.
anti-Semitism besides people in my chat on your side saying I'm paid by George Soros.
Okay, but that's like basically because you're saying that there's other conservatives, and then you're going to label me as one of the other people that are promoting anti-Semitism because there's people on my side promoting that. Like, I know a lot of radical liberals, but I'm not going to say that you're a radical liberal because I know radical liberals that aren't you. You know, I feel like that's a little stereotypical. You're making a generalization of me because there's other conservatives.
I'm just saying they're
that
on
are
your
saying
side. I'm
radical
not saying
things.
you're all the same.
Well, no, there's radical people on both sides. Like, I feel like that's logical. I mean, there's radical people on the left. There's
I
radical
literally
people on the
would
right.
never have thought to think that Harvard has a bunch of anti-Semitism going on over there. Nobody else would until Trump made y'all think that. Nobody else thought that.
I mean, I don't think that these allegations just come to life based off of he said, she said. There was obviously some sort of circumstance that alleged this suspicion because, again, it has to be taken to court, and obviously there's no substantial evidence supporting the claim. It's not going to pass in court.
I still think this is completely tyrannical stuff. The same thing that he did to Columbia University, he's going to do it to all the other universities and make them all come around and kiss the ring, and so that he could do his version of indoctrination, because he thinks that colleges are liberal indoctrination. Let's be real.
I mean, again, to that, I would say it just has to be taken to court. Like, it was found that these campuses are guilty of committing those crimes in court, then yeah, it has to be taken to court.
What about Trump signing executive orders targeting law firms and drowning them in legal fees and removing their access to federal buildings unless they give him hundreds of hours, millions of dollars of pro bono work?
Can you repeat that, please?
What about Donald Trump writing executive orders targeting specific law firms and to where they can't even come into federal buildings and even serve their clients anymore unless they were to give him hundreds of hours or millions of dollars of pro bono work?
Okay. So basically, the accusation stems around political retaliation. So the Trump administration claims that some of these law firms have basically participating in dishonest and dangerous activity. So again, I feel like you're going to come up here and say, okay, well, Trump has threatened to do this, this, and that. And to that, I'm going to say the same thing that I'm going to say literally every time. It's yet to be proven in court. And I feel like when you make the claim that Trump is doing this and it's bad, it lacks context, because obviously there's a reason or a purpose behind why
you would have
Trump is doing
you would
something.
have to prove something in court first of all. It's anti-first
allegation.
It's anti-First Amendment, right? And it's also anti-Sixth Amendment.
True.
Yes, it is. If I want to say Trump is doing X, Y, and Z and it's illegal, and I want to sue you for it, that is if he wants to use the power of the government to stifle me, that is anti-freedom of speech.
Hold on. So you're saying that our First Amendment right, the freedom of speech, doesn't protect the making allegations? Everything is an allegation until it's proven beyond reasonable doubt in court. Your First Amendment right allows you to make an allegation against somebody.
Yeah, I know, but Trump is using the arm of the government as if his... Oh my God. Sorry, guys, got to ban somebody. Trump is using the arm of the government to target law firms that he has personal problems with. Do you think anybody should be allowed to do that? Personal.
Again, well,
Personal.
if you suspect that, well, again, but if you suspect that they're committing a malpractice, that's reasonable to have a personal problem with them. So then, if you want to sue them, yes, of course.
This is tyrannical as fuck. I can't believe you guys are
If
the ones.
if think about it, but if I personally believe that somebody is committing malpractice, which is illegal, and then I'm going to say, okay, well, because they're doing something illegal, I should be able to allegate something against them.
You
How
should
is
be
that
able
tyrannical?
to. You should be able to sue them for the illegal thing they did. You shouldn't be able to just use the arm of the government to hurt them.
Again, it has to be taken to court.
It should be taken to court. It shouldn't be something that Trump is using using the arm of the federal government to hurt
It's not
them.
that it should. It is like they're being challenged in court, and there is a case that's yet to be unfolded. I don't understand what the problem is.
No.
With making an allegation.
No,
with,
he's doing this to a law firm, and this law firm is having another law firm represent them. So Trump copy pasted this executive order and used it on the other law firm and fucked them over too. And he's getting hundreds and hundreds of hours of pro bono work and getting them to kiss the ring. Do you see how that's not taking it to court? That's not due process. That is Trump being tyrannical.
Okay, so you said, okay, let me break this down. So you said he's suing this law firm, and then the law firm.
He's not suing anybody.
Okay, he's signing an executive order against this law firm, right?
It's an executive law for stripping them of their access to federal buildings.
Okay, and what is he doing to the law firm that's defending the law firm being
The
stripped
same
of its
thing.
executive opportunity?
The same thing.
Okay,
Copy paste.
sorry, I'm just gonna research. Opportunity away from this. Okay, but even okay. So before I even get my response, even if okay, so first off, it says that there isn't. This is what I asked ChatGPT. There isn't any definitive evidence that Donald Trump is explicitly stripping executive opportunities away from law firms in a broad institutional sense, but his administration has targeted specific law firms through executive orders and political action. So there's no evidence saying that he's stripping
Executive
opportunity away from
orders.
law firms.
Executive. I just told you he's doing this with an executive order.
No, again, but what is the? I'm gonna look into what the executive order does.
I just told you.
Law firm agency. Okay, but again, to that I say it's just going to be continuously taken to court. Like
You can't take it to
without
court.
a doubt.
Anybody trying to go to court
Yes,
over
you can.
this
It's-
is getting copy pasted the same shit.
So then, why can't a law firm defend themselves in court?
This isn't him suing anybody. I just told you. He's
No,
not
I get
suing
that.
anybody.
I get that. So a law firm can't defend themselves in court regardless of whether or
If
not they're being sued.
The framers of our Constitution would see this as a shocking abuse of power. A federal judge blocked a new executive order from President Trump punishing a prominent law firm that successfully sued Fox News. So he's punishing a law firm that successfully sued Fox News, the ones who said that the election was stolen.
A federal judge blocked an executive order.
Hold on, he's got more than one. Trump and his so the legal battle over Sussman and Godfrey is part of the intensifying effort by Trump to target his critics and other perceived enemies. Not to mention, he did just write an executive order for the DOJ to pursue some people, one of which who just wrote a book talking shit about him. He's saying that they committed treason. The leverage of the power of justice. Legal experts for former department among the broad array of targeted by Trump in recent weeks, multiple large law firms that challenged him or his administration in court, former aides who defied him during and after his first term, and people who vandalized Tesla dealerships. Trump also directed the Justice Department to drop all pending investigations related to Jan 6 right at the U.S. Capitol. Let me find another article on this.
Okay, but this is the thing. Most of the executive actions have been blocked by federal judges. So how are you going to say that?
Okay, even if he's trying to do this and he's stopped, which he's not been stopped all the way, even if he's just trying to do this, do you not see this as an abuse of power?
Well, no, because the institution is going to operate under the same functionality regardless of if Trump tries to do. This is the thing with Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Donald Trump tries to do something unconstitutional. It's appealed, then he tries again, and it's appealed, but he's not actually changing the functionality of an institution.
He's anti-constitutionalist.
His personal interest. I'd say that when you try to do something unconstitutional, you get appealed and then you try to do it again legally, that's less of a threat than trying to change the actual operation and mannerism of the way an institution works and then use it to cram down on 80 million Americans.
All right, but I'm saying that not all of these have been stopped, bro.
Yeah, but the vast
People
majority of them
folded.
have been.
Okay, no, but there have been multiple law firms that folded to his will and now offer him hundreds of hours or millions of dollars of pro bono work now.
Hold on, I'm just searching.
And I'm sorry, I like a president who doesn't need fucking bumper rails when he's bowling.
Yeah, so the vast majority, right, of the executive orders have been blocked by a federal judge. So again, it's not necessarily saying that Trump is completely tyrannical and Trump has the power to do this, this, and that, considering the fact that most of the executive actions that he's trying to take against these law firms have been appealed by a federal judge. That's the thing. He's trying to do something that I would agree with you is unconstitutional, but he's going to get appealed.
He's not just trying to do something for the betterment of the people and a federal court is stopping him. He's trying to do something for himself, a personal vindictive action to hurt somebody. He's using the arm of the government to hurt a law firm that he has a personal problem with. Do you not see that this is a little something different? This is a little tyrannical. This is how dictators rise to power.
But the thing is, you say that it's being used for his personal interest, but he says that this law firm is committing malpractice and operating in an illegal mannerism. So just as you would say, okay, this is unconstitutional, Donald Trump would say they're operating illegally, and that's the purpose behind him trying to make these executive actions. But again, I'm going to repeat the same argument. Somebody trying to do something unconstitutional and then allowing for it to get repealed is much more
okay, they're not getting repealed, bro. You can't keep saying that. They're not.
They are.
No, they're not. You can't see the how many got stopped? How many got stopped?
I'm gonna search it up right now.
They're not all. No, he has millions of dollars of pro bono work at his expense now from these law firms, and they've backed down and been to his will.
So he signed 5 executive orders against the law firms, and 4 of the 5 executive orders that he passed were appealed. So 80% of them were appealed. And the reason that the one which wasn't appealed was because it was, again, passed.
Did he appeal them, or did courts appeal them?
No, a federal judge appealed it. The courts appealed them.
Hold on. On March 14th, Trump targeted Paul Weiss law firm with a similar order, bringing actions against protesters to the U.S. Capitol building. So the law firm that helped bring down some of the. Hold on, what?
The order cited the firm's diversity, equity, inclusion policies, and the involvement of former partner Mark Pomerantz in the investigation that led to Trump's conviction.
Oh my God! So people that got him convicted.
Yeah, essentially. Now, here's the thing about the 2020 election. I believe that Joe Biden won the 2020 election, and I believe that Donald Trump respectfully lost the election. I don't think that he won it. I think he believes that he won it, but I don't personally. I think Joe Biden won the 2020 election fair and square.
The Weiss firm took a different approach, agreeing to provide substantial pro bono work to defend challenges against the government in exchange for government ceasing in its actions. Some observers liken Weiss's concessions to those of Columbia University, which agreed to change policies related to student protests after the government threatened to cut off $500 million in federal funding. Orders can have a chilling effect on others. So not to mention the orders that he hasn't even written yet and the law firms that he hasn't even pointed out yet, they're all now worried that he's going to use the arm of the government to hurt their business just because he doesn't like them.
But when you're looking at the way in which he implemented the executive orders, they went to court and they went under a legal process.
Dude, you are licking the boot of somebody who's using his power. He's using his power in a shockingly tyrannical way, and you're endorsing it, and this is terrifying to watch MAGA do.
Because he's not changing the mannerism or the operation of the systems themselves. He's just trying to make
the mannerism or the operation. He's not allowing certain law firms to access federal buildings. That's
not true, again, because the way. Okay, so you're saying that he's not allowing them to access whatever or whatever, but the thing is, he's taking that to court, and
he's not taking it to court.
So whatever he's trying to do is getting appealed. It doesn't change the mannerism of the operation that we work
So
or function
so
as a
when
country.
Kamala was able to do something and Biden was able to do something that was legal and stuck, you're worried about it. But
They
when Trump
didn't.
does things that are unconstitutional that
That's
can't stick in court, you're thumbs up. And if one out of
they
5
didn't.
stick, you're still thumbs up.
The reason that I say Kamala Harris is more so of a threat to our institution than Donald Trump is because, as I said earlier, she changed the mannerisms and the operations of the way in which our institution works for personal interests. Donald Trump doesn't change the mannerisms of institutions.
He's
He
gutting
tries to.
entire federal
He
departments.
tries.
The Department of
He signs.
Education's gone, dude.
He signs an executive order, right, which is completely within his power. That's not unconstitutional. Then it can get taken to court and it can get appealed by a federal
Okay,
judge.
and Joe
Just as we're
Biden
seeing
did it the
now.
entirely the illegal way too. He did it the entire like
Yeah,
everything that he did was
do
legal.
it the illegal way. He did do
He
it the
no,
illegal
he
way.
did the
You just said
legal
it
way.
yourself.
He did it the legal way.
And to that I disagree. Look,
Okay,
I'd
what was
rather
illegal
have
about his
somebody.
action?
He exceeded, so OSHA, Occupational Safety Health Administration, exceeded their power, and he ultimately condoned it, which is
Okay, what was the
unconstitutional.
power that he exceeded? You're just saying that.
Okay, so I'm okay. No, I'm not saying that. So the purpose of the OSHA, Occupational Safety Health Administration, was to enforce basic public safety rules in working environments. So, like for example, when you're talking about COVID, hey, everybody stand 6 feet apart for each other. It was not created with the intention to enforce vaccines across Americans. And what did the Kamala Harris administration and the Joe Biden
They
administration use
also
it for?
enforced only COVID tests. Yes, during a pandemic, you can't come to work if you test positive for a goddamn virus, bro.
Hold on, wait. So, okay. So let's read this right here. OSHA. Okay. So OSHA's only power is to recommend or support vaccination. It's not within its legal power or its legal intention to mandate the
Right, and they
vaccinations.
didn't
And what was
mandate it, did they? They
yeah,
mandated. They said either you need to be vaccinated or you get a fucking COVID test, man.
Yeah, so in 2021, OSHA issued an emergency temporary standard requiring large employers with 100 plus workers to ensure employees were either vaccinated or tested weekly. And then because this was, yeah, so I don't know why you're clapping, because they made it so that it enforced workers in large workplaces to get a vaccination, which is
Or
unconstitutional.
get tested. Or get tested.
It says,
Or
it
get
says,
tested.
yeah, so vaccinated or tested weekly, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
it's
go.
inclusive though, but it was a requirement to get vaccinated and tested.
No,
That's the
or
issue.
tested. Or tested.
Yeah, that's the issue. But okay, even if it was tested, again, let's just say hypothetically, you're correct, right?
I am correct. What do you mean? You just read it.
No. Okay, yeah, sure. So hypothetically, you're correct, right? It's just testing. It's still right is a violation of constitutional principles because that is not what OSHA was made for. And that's why it was actually blocked in the Supreme Court in the 2021 to 2022 hearings.
No, you're talking about something else. This was allowed, and
I'm
yes,
not.
I totally agree that you should be tested before coming to work when there was a fucking worldwide pandemic where 1.2 million people died. And the reason 1.2 million people died is because people on your side, just like you, felt like their little freedoms were being taken away when you had to do things that were common sense, dude.
So the Supreme Court ruled that the intention of OSHA is more so that OSHA cannot support vaccination or testing in a public workplace safety, and that's exactly the intent in which it was used for. So how is that not constitutional? How is that
okay? So if you're saying that the courts kept them in line, this is the same thing that Trump went through. What's your grievance?
Because the courts, right, went in line after the fact that the vaccine was crammed down on 80 million people. Trump's executive actions were blocked. This action was taken.
Are you telling me the Supreme Court took that down, that requirement for large companies to do that?
Yes.
Was it after Title 41 or Title 42?
Title. I don't know what that is either.
When you don't know what Title 42 is?
No. Is that a border policy?
It's an entire policy for the nation.
Yeah, I don't know what Title 42 is.
When was that struck down?
Let me read this. So, the Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional in 2022. I can ask what day. What day did the Supreme Court rule OSHA exceeded its power? So January 13th, 2022. So on January 13th, 2022, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that Occupational Safety and Health Administration exceeded its authority by issuing a vaccine or test mandate for large employers in a 6-3 decision. The court held that OSHA's emergency temporary standard was an overreach of its statutory power, which is limited to addressing workplace-specific hazards rather than broad public health issues. So again, this is what I'm saying the issue is with OSHA. The Kamala Harris-Biden administration used or changed the functionality of an administration or an organization, and they changed its intended purpose, whereas Trump is doing things that are within his executive power.
So this
and
is
it's getting
this is
appealed.
workplace safety. What do you mean it's more than its intended purpose?
I literally just read it to you, so I'll read it to
Okay,
you
this is
again.
obviously, you don't have to read it to me again. You're just babbling and you're holding. I'm having.
I'm
having.
babbling.
I'm
Can you
having.
explain?
I'm having a debate with ChatGPT at this point, and you're not even comprehending what you're saying.
Okay, so what I'm saying, right, is that the Biden-Harris administration took OSHA, right, which wasn't intended to mandate vaccinations or COVID testing, and they used it to do what it wasn't created for.
Can you say
which is
Coco? Can you say, I'm gonna
unconstitutional.
get, I swear to God, dude, I really don't want to have these conversations.
Okay, I'm gonna leave the live. I appreciate you for having me, though, bro.
All right. Fucking A, dude. The last thing I wanted, I literally, in 5 days, I get remonetized on YouTube. And if I get another strike on this, I swear to God. Sorry, Tanner, I just got it. Okay, so 3 liberal justices argued that OSHA was acting within its authority to protect workers in grave danger. Just because Trump got 3 of his insane judges in there doesn't mean that this is how the law of the land this is debatable all day. On the same day, it upheld a mandate for healthcare workers, which is insane. Yellow? TikTok Carol? Yellow?
Hey, Pickles.
What's up? Are you a Trump supporter?
No, I'm not.
Did you
I
want to
just
see?
like that dude was like, it was like you finally understood that you were debating Chat GPT.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff he was saying about like, oh, the judges blocked it. Well, they're not following judges' orders. So these law firms are submitting to them because they know that they can just drag it out in the courts, and meanwhile they can't operate in those buildings.
Yeah.
So they're basically they can't work or bill, while they're trying to fight these executive orders.
Yep.
So that's why they're kowtowing. I mean, he just doesn't understand that just because a judge blocks, then they appeal it. And judges don't appeal things. He's like, the judges appealed it. Judges don't appeal things. You know, so it's just like it was just a ridiculous like argument with an 18-year-old on Chat GPT.
Yeah, I know, and I like that Carla. What Carla said in the comments. He's describing Doge like Trump made a whole department that guts federal agencies with no checks and
Yeah.
balances. Like, if you're gonna talk about bureaucracy, there you go, man.
Yeah, I mean the shit that's going on is just it's like every day it's something else, you know.
Yeah.
With the whole Doge thing and the guy that was in what department was that? I forget. But the guy that found the irregularity in the all the information, people's information that they basically Doge sent out somewhere, and he saw on the information graph that there was a huge spike where they basically sent all these people's personal information somewhere, and the guy was like a whistleblower, and like that week he gets like a letter on his door. He was just on like one of the new like CNN or something. He gets a letter on his door like threatening him, and it has like a drone images of him walking his dog in the envelope.
Wow.
Like, you better not like stop this, and they have drone pictures of him walking his dog. It's like crazy. There was like a huge, like basically like everybody's information was like sent somewhere, and they
Wild.
don't know where. And this guy's like called like one of the other agencies, like the Homeland Security or something, and then all of a sudden he's getting these threatening letters, and now he has a lawyer, and it's like crazy. So anyway, I'll let you go.
All right, I appreciate you.
Yep.
Thank you, dude. Chat, if you're a Trump supporter and you want to debate, hop in the box. And someone was asking on YouTube earlier, what's Title 42? Title 42 is it's a health code. So it says that it deals broadly with public health, social welfare, and civil rights. So when we invoke Title 42 as a country, we can start making and imposing laws that we usually can't. They're like special exceptions. It's half the reason Trump got away with doing some of his weird stuff at the borders, like remain in Mexico. Which, if the guy is such a stickler for using constitutions and bending the law, I mean, like, it's just so silly that's where you draw the line. You're like, dang, I draw the line at public safety and people getting tested for viruses that were unaliving people. That's where you draw the line. Give me a break. Yeah, and I saw Russia's IP logged into one of the things that Doge was accessing and ripped 10 gigs worth of data from it.
Hey,
Yellow?
Pimples. How you doing?
What's up? I'm doing good.
Hey, do you think once we get a different administration in that we're going to push to try and get some of these laws and stuff changed to where maybe some of these executive orders can't have so much impact on people?
Yeah, I hope so. Like right now, Congress is trying to pass a bill that says future actions by the president in regards to tariffs will take a vote in Congress, which I think is completely reasonable. Like I always say, I'm totally stealing this from Destiny when I say this, but MAGA can't govern. They can't do things that like would have to pass through Congress. They can't do that. They can't come up with things that are actually bipartisan. They are doing insane shit all the time. What's up, Equal Vote?
Hey, how's it going? Hey, Nichols, I'm going to disagree with you. I usually do. But didn't MAGA just pass, didn't the House just pass Trump's budget?
Yeah,
His
yeah, 4.5 trillion.
the 11 trillion added to the deficit.
Your microphone's cutting out.
11 trillion that's added to the deficit just for 1 year alone. The extension of the tax cuts for the ultra wealthy that make more than 360K a year. The fact that he let the sunset occur on the tax cuts that were for people below that level. Like this is the Trump that you guys hired, that you voted for. And what else was part of that? Oh, and then of course we had the SAFE Act, which is going to disenfranchise 70 million women in this country potentially who have a birth certificate that does not match their ID. They're not going to be able to vote in the next election if they don't. I'm not sure anybody can educate me on how they're going to be viable voters in the next presidential election, because they're going to have to like re-up on their ability to prove their identity because of the sole fact that they're married and they took on their husband's name. I mean, I think there's some reality to that. I mean, I don't think I'm making that stuff up. I mean, I think that's in the legislation.
Yeah, it's classic voter suppression.
So this is what the Republicans do. And to be fair, this is not just Trump and his supporters. This is every Republican president that's been in power in my lifetime has done the same thing. Maybe with the exception of Ronald Reagan, who at the time I was not a big fan of. When I retrospectively look back at Reagan, I looked at his immigration policy, which was more like what I would expect to have from a Democrat these days, offering those that were seeking not just those who were here not legally, giving them not asylum. What's the word I'm looking for? Pickles. He in
Temporary
84.
protectives.
No,
Basically forgiving them.
yeah, they were. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he provided them with an opportunity to become citizens without having to take any action.
Yeah, amnesty. Thank you, Laney.
Amnesty. Yeah, there you go. So, but that's that was the Republicans of the 80s, and also keep in mind that Reagan was the one that lowered that corporate tax rate to 28%, the lowest it had ever been at the time, and that's all that Democrats are asking for now. That would have been Kamala Harris's policy, 28%, which would have been the Reagan level. And then what was good about it in 1980, but not good about it in 2025, particularly since we know that the cost of living has gone up and that the bottom lines of these corporations have done nothing but increase. What's wrong asking corporate America, who utilizes the resources that this country provides to make their money? We're talking about highways. Amazon needs to use all the money that we pay in our taxes for infrastructure. They use that infrastructure. They should pay for it just like you and I do.
Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, I'm gonna boot you guys. I'm gonna try to get some debates in here. I appreciate you all coming up. Okay.
Thanks. Oh, Pickles, real quick. By the way, did you find your MacBook Pro yet?
I've got a hand-me-down coming my way soon.
Okay. If everything changed, let me know. I have one on the radar, but it's an M3, not an M4 chip.
Oh. Yeah, DM me about that.
I will do.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hell yeah. Lakin, I see that we're friends. Lakin, I'm trying not to do any more friendlies right now, guys. I've just had friendlies back to back and we're losing views. I'm going to turn on the phone number, and if you're on YouTube and you want to call in, you're welcome to do so. This is my first time using it, so forgive me. This is trial and error right now. But the call-in number is on the screen if you're on YouTube and you want to debate.
Tomorrow on UMC, Angry Veterans, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we're doing a fundraiser for the Laney's mods. Some of us are kind of having a big struggle. So if we can get as many people over there tomorrow, that'd be great. Am I frozen? Anybody else can hear me?
I hear you.
All right. So tomorrow on USMC Angry Veterans Live, we're doing a fundraiser. I'm just trying to spread the word at 11 a.m. Eastern time. We're just trying to get as much money raised up for the mods that are having some struggles of Laney's. That's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chat, if you are trying to debate on YouTube, it should come in. It should come in. If you're trying to, you're welcome to try to call in. It's right there on the screen. I'm going to move it to where maybe you can see it better. Maybe that'll work. It's not a working number. Oh. We literally just used it. I'm honestly stressed out like a motherfucker right now. Jenna, thank you so much for the subscription, by the way. Guys, again, I'm happy to announce that I'll be joining the Unfuck America tour. Next week on Tuesday, we'll be going to meet Charlie Kirk face-to-face at A&M at College Station. If you want to help this campaign, we are trying to follow Charlie Kirk around the nation. Last year, he spent tens of millions of dollars indoctrinating young kids with lies and stuff from the far right, and we want to hold him accountable. We want to be there. We want to be in his face. If you guys want to help us do that, there is an Act Blue link in my link tree in my profile. That is the best way to do it. Also, I am taking direct donations to make up for the insane amount of money that I'm spending to get there and pay for the trip itself. So both of those are welcomed, and I am extremely grateful. Yellow?
Hey,
Yellow. Are you a
how
Trump
are you
supporter?
doing?
Doing good.
I voted for him.
I think we've talked before.
Yes, we have.
Okay, that number is working now. Okay,
Oh,
I've got
wow.
a debate. Okay, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about his tariffs?
Well, I've been looking around and I've been checking out some things and everything like that, and quite honestly, I can only say a few things. That no matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, it's all the same. You're going to get a bunch of crap thrown at you no matter what. And quite frankly, I've just been listening to all the negative things that either the left is throwing at people or the right's throwing at people. And it's like, I kind of made my own decision on what I want to do next time when I vote. I think I'm going to vote independent next time. Because both Democratic Party and the Republican Party are bull crap. Both of them.
What do you not like about the Democratic Party?
I don't like their attitude. I don't like how they run things. Same with the Republicans. I don't like how they run things either. They're both garbage.
I don't know why. I think I just lost connection with my YouTube.
Oh, you lost connection with your YouTube? That's not cool.
Never mind, it's still on. Well,
okay.
Okay, what do you have any specific lies you'd like to talk about that like the Democrats are spewing?
Well, let's see. Well, let me see. Like they say about, like that one guy brought up the thing about OSHA. I was one of the unfortunate people that ended up having to take that shot to keep my job.
Where do you work?
I worked for the Blue Water Area Transit.
Is that a federal job?
No, that is a public transportation job.
So is that a state job?
I think it's funded by the state.
Hmm. Are
So
you
I believe the Democrats really screwed that one.
did state workers?
Yeah, I believe that driving a bus for the city of Port Huron is pretty much either a city job or a state job. I think it's funded by the state of Michigan.
Yeah, I just know that like it's always been a thing, especially if you go to a school that's funded by the states. Same thing. It's always been a thing.
Yeah, you know what?
If
But
if
I
you wanted
look
to
at it,
attend these schools, you had to be vaccinated.
but I look at it this way: that is a violation of your constitutional rights.
Okay,
So there's no
so
difference between
which right
that.
which right is it in violation of?
Which right is that's in violation of your? Let me see. How much? What? Which one is that? Well, I would have to put that underneath the Fifth Amendment,
Okay.
and I'd have to also probably put that underneath the Fourth Amendment, because nobody should be able to tell you what you should be able to do or cannot do.
So this has always been a thing. I don't know. I don't know if it's just a deal breaker when they tell you either you can work here or you can not work here and not get the you know what. Isn't that kind of a like nobody's forcing you to do anything? It's just kind of a condition of you working there, just like not having a felony or something of that nature.
But that is definitely a violation of people's liberties.
I don't
You
think
should
so.
not
I don't
have
think
to.
you have a right to work for the State Department.
Well, that's your opinion.
I think that's everybody's opinion. Do I have a right
But
to work for the
fortunately,
state? Should I go invoke my right to get a job at the state and sue them if they don't give me one?
no, I didn't say nothing about that. It's a violation of your rights to have something injected into you that you don't want.
Well, nobody's done that, and it's just saying that's a condition of you working there.
So that was one thing I didn't really like about them. And some of their policies on the border was not very good either. I didn't like that either, especially with all these immigrants that come in here and they unalived a few people that should not have been. I do not feel sorry for them. They should have been executed once they were done. I speak freely about what those guys get.
Did you know that there were only 29 murders last year from undocumented migrants?
And those 29 murders should have been, everyone that did that should have been executed.
I agree. Throw them out of the country. I mean, I don't really agree with the death penalty, but
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly.
yeah, are you pro-life?
Am I pro-life?
Yeah.
For women, for the abortion thing,
Yeah.
I still think that a woman has a right to choose on that one.
Oh, that's good. Good for you.
But For all these immigrants that do what they did, nah, they deserve to be with in front of a firing squad with about 15 people with shotguns.
Breezy,
That's the way I feel.
thank you so much for the donation, by the way. Thank you so much. Yeah,
And then now for the
I just
now
don't
for the
think
crazy.
I just don't think
Now
we
for the
should be spending trillions or billions of dollars on sending migrants to prisons in El Salvador and searching far and wide for people. It turns out Trump's having a hell of a go at it, even finding all of these people he claims to have come in during Biden's administration. Doesn't it seem that way?
Well, yeah, I would say so. And ICE has been running into a lot of problems with these other so-called wannabe sanctuary cities that not being able to do his job. So, you know. But for the crazy Republicans on the other side, I think all of his executive orders that he put in were bullcrap too, because if you want to get something done right in America, you're supposed to do it with the legislation, the legislative branch. At least try to get bills passed that are going to make sense. And all these executive orders have just been ungodly stupid.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I'm glad you see it that way. I'm glad you see it that way. Yeah, a lot of these things, especially as tariffs, they're not permanent. They're not passed through Congress. So why would anyone build the foundation of their business on a fucking executive order, ones in which he keeps playing go away, come here with? He keeps flickering like a light switch. Who in the world is going to invest money on building a business on that? Anyway, I don't know. It feels like you're kind of here and there. Do you mind if I go on to the next guest?
Sure. But
All
like
right.
I said, I think the next time I'm voting, I am going to vote independent.
Yeah. Well, sounds like a good idea.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful night now.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Yellow.
Hello.
What's up? Are you a Trump supporter?
I am.
Okay. What do you feel about what do you like about Trump?
Well, I just wanted to ask about the Unfuck America tour. Like, is that really a bunch of creators going to troll Charlie Kirk's event?
Yeah.
That's pretty cringe.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys have your own event instead of like going off the coattails of his?
We're trying to stop him from spreading misinformation.
And how do you think you're going to accomplish that goal?
We're going to debate him in front of the crowd he's pulling.
Yeah, but Charlie Kirk is superior to any TikTok creator that's a Democrat. He's going to dominate you guys.
I haven't seen that yet.
He's going to dominate you guys. Charlie Kirk, okay, I don't agree with all the crazy stuff he says, but he's really smart. And you know it.
I don't think so, man. I think he's full of shit, and I think that we can see it. I just saw a video of him trying to convince a group of kids that undocumented citizens aren't protected by the Constitution. Do you think that's true?
I think anybody that has a foot on the United States of America is protected by the Constitution.
Yeah, well, he tried to convince a whole group of
point.
kids that that's not the case. Is that kind of cringe?
There are parts that they're not protected by, but they basically have, constitutional rights. Like
They absolutely have due process. Yeah. And he argued up and down the fact that that was not the case. That's what we're there to stop him from doing that.
But if you're a terrorist, you don't have constitutional rights. They bring you to like Guantanamo Bay for that sort of thing.
That's not on U.S. soil.
Yeah, but terrorists, by the Patriot Act after 9/11, they don't have constitutional rights.
All right. But still, if they have to do all those things not on U.S. soil.
Right, but a part of that is transferring them somewhere where they can interrogate them. That's why, they had like Guantanamo Bay after 9/11. The Patriot Act makes terrorists not have constitutional rights.
You're still stretching the fact that Charlie Kirk blatantly lied about that, right?
Yeah, but I'm still trying to understand what's the plan. You guys are just going to show up and get in line, and that's it?
Yeah.
Wow. There's going to be some juicy TikToks after that.
Yeah.
Do you think you have a chance against Charlie Kirk?
Yeah. Easy.
Easy. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like if you're a Democrat, like I respect Democrats, you know, like I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but why don't you guys have your own event? Seems like if you did that, it'd be more advantageous.
It seems like you like are scared to let us debate Charlie Kirk.
No, but it's just so cringe because like he's spent tens of millions of dollars to build up his tour, and you guys are just gonna go try to like crash it. It's like going to somebody's wedding. It's like disrespectful.
Oh God! Don't compare it to a wedding. It's about as it's the most unceremonious like spread of propaganda and disinformation that happens in the U.S. to young kids. It's just like it's like saying that like people who catch predators for a living is cringe.
Yeah, but within your very premise of Unfucking America, like you're saying that TikTok creators know America, and the last time I was up here, you couldn't even answer a question about the Constitution. Somebody paid like $25 to kick me after it.
Yeah,
I
think they did it again too.
Oh God! All right, goodbye.
All right. For being awesome what you do. Danny, thank you so much.
I was just canceling my request because I didn't want to be a friendly.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I was coming up to say, didn't JD Vance like follow Kamala around during the campaign?
Oh, did he?
I thought he did. I thought he went to all of their stops and like to press stuff by the plane. But I also wanted to just point out that Charlie Kirk is cringe because he's an adult human being going around debating teenage college students. Like, what's more cringe than that?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Anyways, I was just coming up to dunk on that guy, but as soon as he was gone, I didn't want to be a friendly bringing your live down, so I'm gonna drop.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Chat. It's pretty slow. My Google number is still getting phone calls, guys. People really want to debate. You know, I've been streaming for like 6 years for a living, and my mom still doesn't think to check if I'm live before she calls me. Chat, how we doing? Can we get to 100K likes? I should debate my mom. Does she follow you? Yeah. She does. One sec, chat. Babe, do we have plans for Easter? It's Sunday, right? My mom wants us to come eat. I mean, my family's inviting us to eat. You want to do it? I would love that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's turn my thing back on. Guys, if you are trying to call in, you're welcome to try now. The things turn back on. If you're gonna try to call in, you're welcome to. I'm sorry, guys. I'm fucking scatterbrained. I need some caffeine, but it's 9 o'clock. The whole last person was there the whole time. Yeah. The IRS is said to be weighing whether to revoke Harvard's tax exemption just because Trump said so. Just because Trump, out of nowhere, you guys will endorse this, but just because Trump said so. One of the most prestigious colleges we have in our nation. Yellow. Yep. Chat, can you guys hear this, by the way? This is the first time I've done this. They said no. Yeah. Give me a sec. I'll fix this. Da-da-da. All right. They should be able to hear you now. What do you like about Trump?
What about the last 4 years? His first term, everything was great, and everybody gave the, credit to Obama. But now he's been in there 3 months, and the country's gone to shit, and they're all blaming him.
Well,
What happened to the Biden-Harris blunder?
I would say that we would just look at cause and effect. So during Trump's first administration, he didn't really do anything to help the economy besides he passed a tax bill, and we passed a tax bill every 8 years. So this was not like his genius move that he came up with. He basically just he was able to make the decisions for this tax bill, and what he did was he vehemently slid all of the sliders for those tax breaks to go to the rich people, not the middle class, not the lower class, to the rich people. So we scrutinize him for that.
Who employs people, though? It ain't the poor people.
I know, but who pays the businesses for their goods? It ain't the rich. They need consumers. They need consumers. Right. So it's the same thing. Who works for those companies and gives them a profit to turn? So it can go both ways.
I know that in his first term, gas was $1.98. Bread was 99 cents. Milk was 79 cents.
That was during COVID. A lot of those things, those $2 gas, that's COVID gas.
That was before COVID. COVID hit during the last, the last year of his.
What do you think he did to make gas cheap?
Well, we didn't go to war. We wasn't given all this trillions of dollars to fund several major foreign wars. That definitely helps.
We didn't give trillions either. We gave 0.5% of our military budget.
$66 billion to Ukraine.
It was 175, but only 75 went to Ukraine.
Yep, 70. Oh, I got 76, but yeah. Still a lot of money.
It's not enough to change our economy. Every penny of that was going to be spent anyway.
There was no new wars under Trump. None. Not a single new war under Trump.
Well,
he pretty much starved the military.
Like all of these things he takes credit for, but there's nothing you can point to say this is what he did to make gas prices better. This is what he did to stay out of war. In fact,
Well,
right
I
now,
can point to how he made gas cheaper.
how do you do
It
that?
was
Because I have the opposite opinion.
it was through our domestic pipeline, the key pipeline.
The Keystone Pipeline.
Yep.
So the Keystone Pipeline is only 8% finished, and in 2018, it got shut down by a judge, Judge
They
Brian
got
Morris.
that Biden-Harris blunder within 6 hours of taking office.
I know, but listen to this story. In 2018, a native tribe sued the Keystone, which is Canadian owned, by the way. This is a Canadian pipeline. It was going to go through a waterway, and it was going to go across indigenous lands, and they sued it, and a judge stopped it in 2018. And then in 2020, the Supreme Court further upheld the decision to keep the Keystone from being built. It was never finished. Even when Joe Biden came in and said, listen, this permit's useless, we're just going to say no. That still didn't affect gas prices because it's Canadian oil. It was only 8% complete, so it couldn't have done anything. It wasn't doing anything in the first place, so how would it have affected gas prices?
How was it not doing anything? It was running and operational.
No, it's only 8% complete when they shut it down. You're talking about the Keystone itself. The Keystone is still operational. The Keystone XL is 8% complete.
I see what you're saying. But yeah, all I know is we was a lot better off during Trump's first administration, even though most of the left gives all the credit to Obama. And
Obama
now
did spur businesses, and he did a lot of things for the auto industry and bailed them out, and he spurred a lot of domestic manufacturing. And Trump basically just came in and wrote a tax bill. That's about it. That's all he did. And then on his way out, what he did was he did this OPEC deal. It's called the OPEC 2020 deal. And it said all of his rich oil friends came to Trump and they said, hey, we're dying. Nobody's buying gas. We're just stockpiling like barrels of oil. And oil
Right.
was negative $37 a barrel at one point for the first time in U.S. history. And Trump said, I got you. And he called the leader of Saudi Arabia and he said, listen, if you don't stop producing so much oil, I'm going to stop selling you military equipment. So they stopped drilling to the tune of 9.7 million barrels a day. And it caused gas prices to skyrocket. It was a 2-year deal, and it led all the way into Biden's presidency. That's why gas prices rose, as well as the Ukraine conflict. When Russia pushed into Ukraine, that's what also caused gas prices to soar because we put so many sanctions on Russia.
Under Bush, Russia took Crimea. Russia took Georgia. Under Obama, Russia takes Crimea. Under Trump, ceasefire. Russia didn't do shit. Under Biden-Harris blunder, we get this Ukrainian-Russian war.
Okay, but
I mean,
now we have Trump's in office now, and there's nothing Trump can do. In fact, Trump is helping Russia do whatever they can. In fact, Russia is lining up on the border of Lithuania, and they're about to do the same thing to Lithuania while Trump's in office. So I don't think we can say the same. It was just luck.
it's 3
Putin
months.
is not listening to Trump.
3 months.
I'm sorry?
Trump's only been in office 3 months.
Yeah, I know, but all of this stuff is still happening. Trump is not doing anything. He's not putting any pressure on Russia. In fact, we've isolated ourselves from the rest of the world. Nobody wants to be friends with us. And all of NATO is also saying that they're not even going to buy our defense missiles and our weapons anymore because they think that we're aligned with Putin. And we're going to see a huge decline in sales from that stuff too. So
It's dangerous to be an ally right now of the United States.
it's dangerous to be an ally of the United States?
I think so.
Why do you say
What do
that?
you think started the Ukrainian war?
Putin started that in 2014. And it's
It
because
was
he has this...
in the United States.
I'm sorry?
It was some advice we gave to the Ukrainian leader, what the hell, Zelensky. It was, he even does he has a whole speech about it. You can find it on YouTube. where he says, to be an enemy of the United States is dangerous, to be an ally is deadly.
I don't know if that would cause Russia to go slaughter thousands of people unprovoked, but
Well, it's not unprovoked.
how
There
did
was
they
a
provoke
deal
them?
there was a deal years and years ago where Russia basically gave them X amount of land, like borrowed it to them, and now they wanted it back, and that's how they,
That's not
you
what
know,
happened.
that's how they persuaded to start this war, justified starting a war, which I completely disagree with the entire war at all, but that's my understanding of it.
Yeah, so the real thing, what actually happened was Russia and the USSR fell, and Putin dreams about bringing back this idea of this great the olden days of the USSR, and that's what he wants. There's this vision he has in his head. He wants like Belarus and Russia and Ukraine to be all together again, and it would be this
Right.
great power. And his
wants old
nation
Soviet
is
Union.
failing. His country is failing right now. Economically, they are hurt, and if they don't do this now, they're fucked.
He wants the Soviet Union back. He wants
Yeah.
all the, yeah. Yeah, I disagree with the entirety of this, both of the wars, the Israeli war, all of it. I hate war, but
Well, I think we should stop people like Putin from doing this disgusting shit all the time. Always. We should always stifle it, especially when it only costs us 0.5% of our military budget. 0.5.
I don't think we should be funding either side. I would have to say both sides are being pretty grotesque at this point.
No, I think that Ukraine hasn't done anything outside of defend itself. I don't think they've done anything wrong. And I think that if we want Russia to stop doing this, the same thing they've been doing for 20 years and trying to invade their neighbors,
Plus,
we should stop them. We should fund Ukraine's defense.
No. That puts us at risk as well. Let's clean our own house before we worry about how dirty someone else's is.
We're the richest country on earth. Every time we try to clean our house, you guys call it communism.
How so?
If we try to feed kids school lunch, communism, socialism. You guys say no. If we try to pick people off the street and feed them and give them housing, communism, socialism. If we try to stop companies from price gouging us, communism, socialism. You guys don't want anything to do with America First policy. You just want to say it.
Hold on a minute. There's a free market in America. You can't tell a company how much to charge for a product.
It doesn't seem very free right now when Trump is putting insane tariffs on all of our surrounding countries. It's not very free of us.
Yeah, a chance, because China's got a 35% tariff on us, and we've only had a 2% tariff on them.
That's not true. This is what back in the day, before the World Trade Organization, they did have 40% tariffs on us, and then we accepted them as an ally to trade with, and they took that down. They did not have insane tariffs on us. When Trump started his trade war, that's when they started tariffing us. That was in 2016 or whatever. That's when, or in 2017, 2018. That's when Trump put in tariffs, and they started just pretty much surgically tariffing us and putting our companies out of business.
Here's a video. It's from the 1970s, I want to say. It's got a woman, and she has a chart with all of our trade allies that we do trades with and stuff, like China, our biggest ones anyways. There's like 20 of them. And yeah, it was 35% China was charging us to export our goods to them.
And they took that down in 2001.
And we only charged them 2%.
That was in 2001 when they stopped that.
And that's the same for almost every country. A lot of people take advantage of the United States.
Again, though, like Like, would you accept the fact that they didn't do that to us? Like, we had free trade with them mostly. 99% of the trade we have with all of these other countries has been free trade. Like, they might have like tariffs on dairy in Canada because they have a volatile dairy market, and you can't be a dairy farmer and sell 500 gallons one year and then 1,000 the next year, and then it go back to 500. Like, they need a stable industry. So things like dairy, it makes sense. Or if China's building their auto industry and we tariff the fuck out of their auto, they're going to put counter tariffs on us. But 99% of all the other things, all these little plastic gadgets and doodads and textiles and shirts and pants, all of those things, we had free trade with them. And now we have this huge mess.
We send how many of our industries over there for cheap labor?
But that's
we help their country out.
That's
and,
inevitable. We can't not do
then
that.
They quadruple charge us on the tariffs. I mean,
but they're not charging us on those tariffs. Like all those industries, like electronics, they didn't have a tariff on electronics. We didn't send anybody to go work in China. What happened was free businesses, just like you said, the free market that you love so much, they said, hey, it's so much cheaper to get shit built in China, so we're going to keep doing that. And now we have to compete with people that are getting all of their shit built in China, so we got to as well. Everybody had to go jump on board and do that. It wasn't like a government's decision to do that. It was the free market's decision. Oh, he said he dropped his phone. I don't know, guys. I'm gonna hang up. Oh. Who knows? Viking shorts. Yeah, or if you guys want, we can make federal minimum wage 2 cents a day. We can do that, and then we can start competing with China. You guys want to do that? Because that's the only way we're going to start competing with China. That's not going to happen. I really don't want that. Is that what y'all want? Everyone says reset. I guess. I don't know. It's also 9:30. It's close to my bedtime. We had a good run. Yeah, we had a good run. It was okay. Chat, once again, I'm going to point you guys towards the Unfuck America tour, guys. If you guys can, please make a donation to the link in my profile. It's the first link for the Unfuck America tour. They're helping us put boots on the ground and combat misinformation taking place at college campuses around the nation. I would love to see this campaign go further than A&M. Pickles, how do I know I'm Venmoing the right pickles? Tay, be sure you are sending it to the link in my bio. There's a link in my bio for my Venmo. If you follow my boop, if you follow the link tree, the Venmo is right there. Did I get yours from last night? Oh, I did. Yes, you did. Thank you so much. Yes, you sent me that. It was you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Pick your genuine soul. Please stay safe. I will. Thank you, chat. I love yous. I'm gonna get with. I have some stuff to help. help Santana Jones with and stuff before I go to bed. So I will see y'all later. I'm gonna cut off a little bit early tonight. I promise to have a much longer stream tomorrow. I love you guys. Good night, guys. Bye. Doing good. Doing good, babe.